Welcome to the Hawk's coming at you with another game recap. Today's season opener against the Dolphins was a roller coaster. The Redskins had some great early success but struggled later in the game, giving up a 10-7 halftime lead to lose by a touchdown. There's lots of blame to go around, and as it's always been, no small part goes to special teams blunders, interceptions, and injuries. Starting strong safety Duke Iheanacho suffered a fractured wrist, and Deshaun Jackson left the game early with a hamstring injury. We're going to get into your thoughts on the game. We're going to get into our thoughts on the game, so don't go away. Today's game recap is coming up next.
It's the Hawk's
All right, so here we go. Time for another game recap. My name's Sean Conti. Today I got Robbie Duncan with me.
What's up, everybody?
Alex Zeese is here with me.
Hey, everybody.
And Steve Thomas is here as always.
Hey guys, how are you? And before we get started, I'd just like to say, now that we're moving into the regular season, you know, we've gone through one off season here. We've done a bunch of shows. I'd like to thank the audience members for listening to us. You know, we started this thing with no one, and over the course of a few months, it's built up into more than I thought it would, put it that way. You know, and so you guys are moving into the regular season with us, and the only reason we get to do this is because you guys are listening to it. So I'd just like to thank everybody for sticking with the Hog's Tie.
Yes.
Amen to that.
Yeah. We'll see how long they stick with us until they get bored.
Yeah.
That may be true. We will try not to bore you folks.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the listeners, God, I'm feeling very meh about today's game, so I figured maybe we could start by going over what some of our listeners had to say about it. So let's go right to it. So Y3 says, our special teams are special needs.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get into that later. Yeah, we're definitely going to. I mean, that's always been the jokes. Special needs, special forces, like emphasis on the special.
Well, if we're special forces, it's the special forces from Hot Shots.
Yeah, seriously.
Hot Shots.
Win off the field says, "Hey Jay, the last guy who gave Snyder vanilla got fired. He hates that flavor."
Yep.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to talk about play calling too, because I mean that brings up a good point about Gruden that I want to talk about. Kirk is my cousin says, closing in, the light is there. I'm assuming we're closing in on success or something. The light is there. There's potential there. I guess.
It's the light at the end of the tunnel because the truck is coming.
Yeah.
Right at us.
Kind of sounds dark and ominous.
Can we tell Dan Snyder to walk towards the light? That would be my my response.
Step into the light.
Yeah. Robbie,
by the way, what is that on your mic? It looks like you're talking into a Muppets asshole.
I was going to say something about that. Yeah.
It's a blanket. I'm trying to eliminate extra sound from the outside, like the air vents and all. So I put a little blanket over top of my microphone.
Okay.
Robbie's so disturbed by today, he's talking into a Muppet, folks.
Yeah. And I think we've just found our episode title. Yeah.
Talking into Muppets.
Yeah. Muppet Asshole. Robbie, anything going on the tweeters there from people? What are they saying about the game?
I sent an invite out to people on Twitter to send us a one-sentence sum up of the game, and I got one good response from Sean Sweeney, who said 2 words: missed opportunities. And that pretty much sums it up for me. It was very surprising game overall. I was expecting worse from us, and we ended up actually having a chance to win, but we just couldn't capitalize on the opportunities we were given.
I think you can say that sums up several of the past years for the Redskins, actually.
That's true.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and that's actually a great comment to start on. So let's start on the offense. Missed opportunities, I think, is an absolute great epitome of what today's offensive effort looked like. Because we had 10 points, but it sure seems like we could have had more than that. We had our opportunities. So let's talk about Kirk first. What'd you guys see from Kirk?
Okay, Kirk Cousins, stats-wise, he was 21 to 31, 196 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions with a 6.3 yards per average. I would just like to point out that if you went back in time to 2013 or 2014, that line minus the interceptions sounds suspiciously like a certain other quarterback used to do on a regular basis.
Yeah. Well, except for the 2 interceptions.
That's what I mean. Take the
Yeah.
2 interceptions away, and
Yeah.
that would be a good Robert Griffin line that people
Yeah.
would be criticizing him for.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it'd be a good Jason Campbell line, too, and
Yeah, it
people
would.
ripped him for the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pedestrian.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know.
Sub-pedestrian, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll start with my thoughts. Kirk Cousins looked like the same exact guy that we've seen since the day he came here. He moved the ball well at times. He was okay. He made stunningly bad decisions at times.
Same as it ever was.
No matter how anybody wants, to make him, he is not Joe Montana. He's never going to be Joe Montana. He is what he is. He's okay, and he's blah, and that's it. That's what Cousins is. That's what Cousins was, and that's what Cousins will be. Blah.
I actually disagree. I think he's only okay even on a good day. What I saw there is, like you said, that's going to be normal him. And to me, what that is that's your number 2 guy playing. 2 interceptions, kind of able to manage the game, but he petered out by the second half.
Yeah.
If you looked at a lot of his passes late into the game, anything deep was lobbed up and looked like a dead duck flying through the air.
Yeah.
And most of his other passes were just really short checkdowns to whoever he could find open.
Yeah, and on that pass, agreed. I was just going to say on that pass late in the game, I feel like Kirk should have had a 3rd interception there because, I mean, a lot of people are saying it was a miscommunication with Reed there in the red zone. I don't know. I mean, it was really close to an interception. You can't throw that ball,
Yeah. And we can get into what even led them to that point.
Yeah.
I mean, really, they shouldn't have even been in that situation.
Exactly.
And I'll go through those little numbers because I pulled those up later. But let's just keep going on Cousins. Look, he's going to be the starter this year, but we need to start looking at quarterbacks in the draft. If this is how he plays, he's not going to be in there all 16 games. Colt's going to get a shot. Robert will probably get a shot again if he keeps this up.
Yeah, that would be the question.
I wouldn't count on Robert getting a shot this season. They don't want him getting hurt. They want to save their $16 million. It's either Kirk or Colt.
I'm trying to zazz up the show, Robbie.
I don't think
they don't want him
anybody's
to get
falling
hurt.
for that here in Washington.
They don't want him to get hurt, except apparently they're letting him practice at safety.
Yeah, well,
For
that's a big to do about nothing.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that. There was walkthroughs. Robert was just there to be there during a walkthrough. It's a non-story trying to be made into a big story. So I'm going to jump.
How do you know it was just a walkthrough? I'll shut up.
I'll answer because you really think they'd have Robert playing full scout team, giving a real defensive look, playing safety, trying to tackle guys and cover. If that's the case, if that's really true, then we are the dumbest organization of all time, and we will never be anything ever. But
thank you for proving my point.
That didn't help me, but but
it's not like Jay Gruden is going to win any awards for being Einstein, okay?
No, but no team is going to have a quarterback actually playing real scout team safety where they're tackling, playing live reps, and trying to give a real look. I think that's
no team's owner is going to send vanilla ice cream to a defensive coordinator either.
No, I believe that.
Might as an actual
that happens.
award. I mean,
yeah, that's not as far-fetched for me, obviously.
You're speaking logically, and logically you're right, Robbie. I'm just saying nothing about this team has been logical for a long time. And so, to me, it's possible that was actually a true report. As dumb and stupid as that would be, it seems like that's the kind of thing that we would do.
No, I'm not doubting that it didn't happen. I think it definitely is true, but I think the context of the whole report is what's lacking. I think everyone's just jumping to the gun saying, "Oh my God, they haven't played safety. What are they thinking?" No,
right.
I think that report, if you read it, seriously lacked context. It just said he lined up at safety for scout team. That didn't say anything about what exactly was going on when he lined up at safety.
Yeah.
But anyway, let me jump into my Kirk thoughts. I thought Kirk actually played a pretty decent game. He was really good on third down in the first half. I mean, we were very efficient. We were moving the ball, running the ball well, which helped him out. Second half, things happened with penalties were killing us. I wouldn't quite say all of this was on Kirk in the second half. Tight ends were getting holding calls.
We had 3 consecutive offensive penalties without even snapping the ball.
Yeah, illegal formation that got called back. the Derek Carrier holding call. Ty Inseki comes in for Morgan Moses, got called for holding, which is bullshit, by the way. I watched that play happen. He just pancaked him. Anyway, it was all these holding penalties and offensive penalties that were just continuously setting us back and putting the offense in bad situations, which led to, plays where you're not going to get anything out of it. It's 3rd and long. You got them with the ears pinned back and actually trying to get to the quarterback. It's not easy. Your quarterback, you can't expect your quarterback to do well in those kind of situations. So I'm not going to say he was perfect. If overall grade, I give him a C+. But I think he showed things that can be built off of. We have an efficient offense. We ran the ball well without Robert Griffin, which has been a negative on Alfred Morris by many people. Oh, Alfred Morris can't run the ball because Robert's not in there.
No, Albert couldn't run the ball because we had no line blocking for him in the middle.
Exactly, and that's exactly what we did. We ran the ball well. It's surprising to me that we didn't score more points as well as we ran the ball. We should have won based on that stat line alone.
Yeah. We had $150, is that right, Steve? Somewhere around there.
Rushing yards? I'll tell you in just a second. We had 37 rushing attempts, 161 yards for an overall 4.4 yards per carry.
100 of those in the first half, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
That should win you a game right there.
As long as I'm doing it.
It's enough.
Morris, 25 carries, 121 yards, 4.8 yards per carry.
He still had 11 carries in the second half, by the way. He was still getting the ball in the second half. It wasn't like he went away from it. Some people have been complaining
I think
about
there's
that.
one thing. People complain a lot about Gruden. If there's one thing you can give him, he stuck with his "I want to run the ball" mantra this year so far.
Oh, there's a first for everything.
Yeah, we'll see if he can maintain that.
Yeah. Well, if we keep losing, I'm sure something's going to change. But real quick, since Robbie was starting to mention it, let me just give you guys the where our drives wound up, because this is what's mind blowing to me about this game. We were driving really well every quarter of the game. We just didn't come away with points.
Yeah.
Our first drive, we got to the Miami's 27. Second drive, we got to the 27 again, and we came away 1 for 1 on field goals there. Or 1 and 1. Missed one, got one.
Yep.
We had to punt from our 12 the next one. Then we got a touchdown. The fifth drive was a need and a half. I don't know how you want to count that.
Yeah.
If that counts as a real drive or not.
Yeah, it does. Just and a half.
Yeah. And then, we got stymied on Miami's 40. Then we had the one where we got down to the 22 and got pushed all the way back from the penalties.
Yep.
Which, that, to me, was the heartbreaker. That's when we lost all our momentum.
And that's when we punted and gave up the touchdown.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
For so many reasons, that frustrated me. Then we had the drive that we stalled out on our own 15, but then we got down to the 29 and then down to their 20. So 6 of 10 drives we got to, within scoring range.
Perpetual red zone problems. It's what the team has always had. Can't seal the deal.
Yeah.
You can't seal the deal and you turn the ball over.
Mind.
Yeah, you lose.
Let's stay on the run game here just a minute. Number one, Matt Jones, 6 carries, 20 yards, 4.7 yards per carry. But Robbie, what'd you see from the types of runs we were running? What I saw, my uneducated eye, was a lot of runs up the middle that Alfred Morris made something of. Not necessarily, they did run some stretch plays, but it looked like most of it was power running.
Yep, run to the left, run to the left. Yep.
Yeah, we were running.
What'd you think?
We were running the left side a lot.
Yep.
I think it was a very smart move by whoever was calling the plays. You got Gruden, McVay. I don't know.
Could be Callahan. Yeah.
It could have been Callahan.
Yeah.
They were really smart in running the plays to the left to get Sheriff and Moses comfortable in the running game. Just letting them work on the backside, letting them cut off guys. If you didn't notice, they were cut blocking on Sue a lot. Sue
I
was
was going to say, that's the other reason you run to the left. You're running away from Sue.
Yeah, and Sue was getting frustrated. Who's a dirty bastard, by the way. He kicked Alfred Morris.
He's a dirty player.
Yeah.
He's a dirty player.
But they did exactly what Doc Walker said they were going to do.
Yep.
They blocked Sue. Those young guys got out there and did what they had to do.
And if it wasn't for Alfred Morris getting the yards and carries that he did, I would give the game ball to Sheriff and Moses, because they had the odds stacked against them. everybody was saying, "Oh, Sue's going to get 2 sacks. Cameron Wake's going to destroy us. Maybe even break the sack record in a game, that kind of thing." And they performed outstandingly. They were they blocked really well. Moses had a couple pass blocking pancakes on Cameron Wake. Sheriff was very stout against Ndamukong Suh. It was really cool to see. I was very proud.
I think
Moses had that great one where he pulled out on the toss to his side.
Awesome.
That was a beautiful block.
I think I only saw one, kind of jailbreak play with Wake, and that was the one where they got called back by a penalty anyway.
And that was Chris Thompson trying to block him. It wasn't even on the O-line.
Yeah. So I think the O-line. Are we moving to the O-line here? I guess. Number one, Trent Williams, what a stud! I mean, that guy he dominated that game. You never saw anybody from the right side of the Dolphins line do anything the entire game. But I saw even Lichtensteiger lit Sue up one time. I noticed.
Yeah. And Lichtensteiger did have one bad play. He gave up he did give up a sack, and it was
he gave up a sack, and he also got blown up for one big run play, I believe, at one point.
The sack was just bad technique by Corey. He ducked his head, and the guy did a little swing move by him, and he just kind of lunged at him and didn't stay with him with his feet. So it was everybody has a bad play every now and then. I wouldn't. Yeah. Corey's been pretty solid since he's switched to center. Yeah. So.
If you're an every snap guy, you get 2 plays a game.
Well, I mean, he's a smaller guy on the line, and he had a tall task. Let's be honest.
He probably could have used a little bit more help from the guard, a little bit more support with the hand or something. But that happens. Other than that, everybody was playing really well on the line.
Yeah, I can't honestly say I saw Scherf make a bad play that stuck out in my head. At least I'm no expert. Robbie, I mean, you're the expert.
He was getting into the second level really fast too. Like he was really getting to the linebackers and cutting them off on the backside. I can't wait to watch the coach's film of it when NFL Rewind puts it out there, because there's gonna be a lot of good stuff to watch, and I'll post stuff later on our blog about it. But sure enough, I believe looking at it again when it comes out it's going to show that they did really well. And not just. And
what'd you see in the Apostle Ty Nsekhe?
I thought that one play he got. I thought it was an
immediate
block.
Penalty.
Of course. Alex tweeted out, "Oh, Robbie's boy Ty Nsekhe's getting in." I said, "Oh yeah." I said I was excited.
Penalty.
And then a penalty.
And then penalty.
But again, I still think that was a bullshit call.
So I'm not allowed on the Twitter anymore. I jinx people, I guess.
No, you can tweet all you want. Just don't.
We're trying to get him on the show.
Don't call out my heralded players that I.
Well, I jinxed somebody yesterday because I got on our Twitter feed and tweeted, "Let's go UVA, one more stop," and literally the very next play was the game-winning touchdown. You saw that, Robbie?
I did.
That was
see that.
me. I got to own that.
Let's go Who's.
God.
Let's go UVA. Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Game over, touchdown.
Well, thank goodness for college football. Otherwise, I'd be really depressed all week.
Yeah,
no kidding.
It's true.
Well, let's talk a little bit more offensive stuff. So we'd be remiss probably not to mention Jordan Reed. He had quite a game. He balled out today.
Yeah. He was probably the star of the passing game, wasn't he?
He was in that touchdown. I was just going to say, I feel like Robert wouldn't have thrown that ball because, you were counting on him to be able to beat that one-on-one coverage and go for it over the top and make that catch, and he did it. I feel like Griffin would have even attempted that, so that's a kudos to Cousins in my.
Yeah, when's the last time we saw a fade route actually work for us?
Exactly.
The last time we threw one to Reed, he's the only one we throw a good fade route to.
Yeah.
Doc Walker was right about Reed. I mean, the guy is open every play, basically.
He just has
every play
to
he's
stay
running
healthy.
a route, he's open.
Yeah.
Yep.
Stay healthy. That's all we have to say.
That one play early on where he made just like the little juke move to get around 2 guys.
Yeah.
And he added another 10 yards to that run, or the run after the catch. That was just beautiful.
Yeah. And we got to give a shout out to Pierre Garçon too.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
He had a good game.
Oh yeah. He had 2 or 3 big plays.
Yeah, his yards after catch were just.
Well, yeah. Monsters. What I noticed about Pierre Garçon is he was really fighting today. Like he hasn't in some other games. He was really, really fighting both for the ball, before the ball got there and after the catch.
Yep.
He got a penalty on the offensive pass interference on the one play because he just, on the push off because he just took that DB and just tossed him to the ground. And I would rather not see a penalty, but if you're going to get one, I like seeing that one because I think that established some toughness. But Pierre, I thought, was on another stratosphere from what I've seen the Pierre of late.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I guess we can't really, if we're going to jump to receivers in general, anyone else getting worried about Deshaun Jackson? I mean, he dogged all preseason. Supposedly he was injured, but, we've heard from some people that he was faking it.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I don't think he's faking this hamstring injury, but not playing in preseason.
Right. It could be a conditioning
he's
concern.
Not ready.
Absolutely.
Pierre, look, Deshaun Jackson is kind of a Ferrari. It's really cool. It's really fast. Does a lot of things, but if you tweak it a little bit, it doesn't do well because he's so reliant on speed and agility. Guys like that, once they have a little hamstring problem, it gives them, it really hampers their game, and that is Deshaun. Some other players could fight through that, not him, because that's his game.
Yeah. And I'm so concerned because I feel like this is the kind of thing that they could hold him out like 2-3 weeks, and then it could come back and it could linger, and it could go longer, and it could just linger through forever.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what though,
you got to be careful with that.
Yeah, I think that was the first time I've ever seen Kirk Cousins overthrow Deshaun Jackson today.
I don't think I don't think he would have overthrown him. I think he tweaked his hamstring before the ball really got there. I think if he didn't do that, he would have caught it and it would have been a touchdown.
Yeah, okay, and I guess the elephant in the room is how different would the game have been if Deshaun had been in there? I mean, it's impossible to know.
I kind of doubt it would be all that
said
different.
There were 8 or 9 plays in the playbook designed for Deshaun Jackson, and those all got thrown out when he got hurt. So,
and here's my beef with that, though. I guess you couldn't do it without someone speedy like Deshaun to do those, but I mean,
like Rashad Ross, maybe.
Yeah, the only problem was Ross was inactive, but you could still run that with even Jameson.
Crowder.
Crowder. Crowder's he's not slow. He did pretty well in returning, by the way, too. He got some good tough yards in the punt return.
Well, here's one I think I've never understood is Ryan Grant is the backup for Deshaun Jackson's position. I don't understand that. Crowder seems to be Garcon's backup. Seems to me that Ryan Grant is much more of a possession guy, and Crowder is the guy who can take the top off the defense like Deshaun can. I don't get it. Somebody enlighten me because I don't understand.
I'll be honest with you. I honestly think you can do most of what you can do with Deshaun Jackson, even with Pierre Garcon. He's got enough game speed where he can get deep on a lot of guys.
I agree. And the thing is, too, with Grant going in over Crowder, I think it's just, Crowder still hasn't gotten as much reps as Grant has so far. Crowder was out most of preseason and got limited reps even then when he did come in. So I think he'll probably get more chances like that once he's more acclimated.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one receiver we'd be remiss to not talk about, Andre Roberts, our favorite wide receiver.
He made some appearances today.
See,
everybody's favorite hands of stone.
Yeah, here's my beef with him. He makes these really tough catches that shouldn't be caught.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes and drops the easy ones.
The easy ones, yep.
Yeah, it's aggravating to say the least.
He even tried to make the excuse that the sun was in his eyes. He was pointing at his eyes and waving his hand.
It ain't my fault, Coach. It ain't my fault.
That pissed me off. Just accept that you dropped it and don't make excuses.
Wear a visor,
Andre
man.
Is what he is. Andre is what he is. At this point we've seen him. He's fairly athletic. He's fairly fast. He's going to make some good plays. He's going to drop them. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
We know who he is.
Yeah.
He's not going to get any better.
No, I agree.
At this point.
Well, let's talk a little defense now. Let's shift things over and look at the other side of the ball. So,
oh boy.
I don't know. Right up top, some missed opportunities there too. Not as much as the offense, but I think we dropped at least one interception that was possible there. I feel like we played good enough to win. If the offense showed up a little bit more today, we could have won that game.
We left 3 interceptions out there. Three easy ones. Culliver had one that went right through his hands that went to the receiver.
Right.
Good thing it forced 4th down, but that was a pick 6 if he caught it.
Yeah.
And then
that was the biggest one.
Probably the most obvious one that we lost
Keenan
on.
dropped one that hit him right in the hands.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
Keenan's got to learn to catch the ball because he's had many opportunities like this where he drops it.
He puts himself in the right spot.
If he wants to make himself put himself out there as a great linebacker. He's got to make those plays because, I mean,
ones that hit him like dead, like he was in perfect position, hit him directly in the hands. He's got to catch it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
And then D'Angelo Hall, he dropped the easy pick six too. He read the screen brilliantly. I mean, he was right there as soon as the ball was thrown.
Yeah, that's just a fluke, though. I mean, we know D Hall can catch. I mean, that's just a fluke.
But well, I think the Crowder or not Crowder,
Culliver?
Culliver.
yeah, that one's a fluke too. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen Chris Culliver play. I have seen D Hall make a bunch of interceptions. I haven't seen Chris Culliver do anything, yet. So
That's, to go back to that tweet we read, all of it was missed opportunities. I mean, the defense could have had a game of of the season, to really put themselves on the map as a legitimate defense if they made these plays.
Yeah.
That
You know what, though?
said,
That's not even
they
the
held them to
story.
10 points.
that's not even the story to me. The story of the defense to me is the front three.
Yeah.
Paya, Knighton, and Hatcher. Let's just, with the exception of a couple drives in there, we finally saw the Jason Hatcher we were supposed to see.
Yeah.
It's the first
He
time
looked
since
good.
maybe the first game last year, that Jason Hatcher looked dominant. That looked like the guy that came from Dallas that was supposed to be our stud, and he finally showed up. And so I hope he stays healthy and keeps that up. And you didn't hear a lot about Paya, but he was in there. He was pushing the pile around. I thought he looked good.
Yeah.
And Knighton, same thing. Those three guys were getting pressure up front in the run game and in the passing game, and I thought that was the story. Those three guys in particular looked awesome, with the exception of maybe 2 series in there where the run game just got out of hand.
Yeah.
They're,
Towards the end,
they're running
too.
like these
Yeah, I mean-
outside zone looks, late in the game where we weren't really expecting him to run. I also another name we didn't mention for the D line is Chris Baker. He was getting a lot of pressure too, and he got the half sack with Kerrigan on that one play.
Yeah.
Right.
He got a hit on the quarterback. It was roughing the passer, but he still got back there. So,
Yeah.
pretty encouraging from the D line.
I was going to say the success of those three really helped Kerrigan out. He had a pretty good game. He forced that one fumble, and then he had another batted pass. So
don't forget about that big stop he had.
He had the 4th and 1 play, and then he had the half sack with Baker. I'm going to have to disagree with you, though, that he had a good game because other than those 2 plays, Kerrigan was pretty much – I mean,
he didn't.
He may as well not
he
even
didn't
been on
have
the
a
field
lot.
for me because the sack you were talking about in the forced fumble was Preston Smith, not Kerrigan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Was that Smith in there? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's
That was
yeah.
Smith
I mean,
and
but
Hatcher
it was
who
Smith.
were
It was
involved
Smith.
in all that.
they had Kerrigan on a leash though tonight, right? Like he didn't play the full game, right?
No, I think he played the whole game.
Did he ball out? Okay.
I think he played the whole game. Robbie, you're right. I mean, he didn't have an impact on the game.
To be
that's-
fair, I also
and
think
for the guy who's supposed to be our star, he didn't have a
I also think they probably just went away from him a lot. If you looked at a lot of their runs, it went to the left side where he wasn't.
Well, yeah,
maybe so.
even though
ahead.
even
makes
the same,
sense.
though in the pass game,
He's got to show up more.
Here's our defensive stats for the game. D'Angelo Hall and Trenton Robinson led the way with 8 tackles, including 1 tackle for loss with each of them. Deshaun Golston, 6 tackles. Keenan Robinson, 5. Jason Hatcher, 4, and he had the 1 sack. It goes down from there. Ryan Kerrigan credited with a half sack. Chris Baker credited with a half sack. 59 total tackles.
See, here,
Let me just say real quick, Golston, I was really surprised with how well he played. He didn't look good in preseason, but that was solid. Not spectacular, but solid safety play from him.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah,
D'Angelo Hall had a great game. I mean, he had maybe that one.
Yeah, he
he
did.
had that one play where he got beat by Jordan Cameron, but other than that, he was on top of everybody and really was on his game to me. He looked great.
I think he answered the questions. I think he answered the question about whether or not he can come back from this injury.
yeah.
He did
By
not
coming
look
back
like
from another injury.
Yeah, he didn't look like old man Hall. He looked like D Hall that we know and love, for the most part.
Yeah.
And Breland's coming back next week, is it?
Next week.
Yep.
Well, he's coming back from a suspension.
Right.
Is he healthy? I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know if
He
he's healthy.
played in the preseason.
Yeah, he should be healthy. He should be
yeah,
fine.
that's probably true.
He'll be all right.
Because that's good because David Amerson. Hello.
Poor guy.
He got pwned.
Poor guy. you can't even really pick on him. He's just not good enough. He's got all the talent and the size to do it, but he just can't get it together. As soon as he was
Yeah.
on the field,
They
every-
went for it.
every pass was in his direction. He
Yeah.
had the one good pass break up in the red zone, and then the next play he gets, his ankle's broken
Yeah.
on a route, and easy touchdown.
I mean, what could Barry have done to compensate for that? Is there anything he could have done, or do we just leave Amerson out there to the Sharks because that's what was happening?
You got to have more safety help. You got to put a safety right behind him or something.
Yeah.
You can't rely on Amerson to be locking someone down one-on-one.
Well, it depends on the scheme. We weren't in cover 0 all the time.
No.
Right.
If you're playing cover 2, you're going to have the safety help over the top. If you're in a cover 3, you really kind of don't.
Yeah.
Have it in the same fashion. So it depends on the scheme that we were playing. And I know we play a lot of cover 3, and that's Barry's, thing to a certain extent. I think didn't they throw? Am I right in thinking they threw at Amerson 7 plays in a row?
Yes.
I think. At
I
one point in
think
time.
was it 7 or was it 5? I thought it was. I thought I
It
saw
was a
5.
lot.
I thought it was
a
4.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, it was too much.
All to his side.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, now I can, and obviously, we don't know exactly what the play call was each time, but it didn't look like there was a lot of zone either. It was him on a man, and that's the guy they targeted.
Yeah.
That's the worst part. Like, why didn't they? I don't know why you don't switch to some kind of zone scheme there, because Amerson, when he's at his best, it's when he's playing down shallow, kind of so he can stop any run plays, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
and when you're in cover 3, which Barry, if you haven't noticed, I think even Mark Bullock wrote an article about it. We run a lot of cover. We run a lot of cover 3, and cover 3.
It's our base.
Yeah, cover 3 for corners is very much like one-on-one.
It's a lot of ISO. You're kind of you have your guy and your third of the field.
Yeah. So
And the problem is that's not David Amerson's strength. David Amerson's strength is not one-on-one. I think I forget Sean or Alex, whoever said it. I mean, you don't want him down the field that glad. I think you want him maybe in the flat. I think personally, I think David Amerson's probably a cover 2 guy best, if you ask me. I think that's all he could do. That's confident.
Yeah, over the top, give him over the top safety help, and have him play the shallow.
yeah.
Right on the flats. That's right.
While we're still talking secondary, I'd like to point out that you could definitely tell a difference as soon as Duke Iheanacho was out. The secondary was different because Iheanacho was very good in the run support. Especially on these outside runs, he always was there to fill and stop that. And even in the passing game, it was different. And then as soon as he was out with that fractured wrist / dislocated, you could tell a difference. I thought.
I was surprised it wasn't Johnson who came in to fill in for him either. It was Robinson, right?
That was a surprise.
Yeah, it was Robinson. Yeah, I mean, Robinson, like I said before, had 8 tackles, and Johnson 2 tackles.
Yeah, I don't think Johnson was in there most of the game, at least not that I
Well,
noticed.
see, Johnson, I mean, he was hurt a lot of preseason too, but
Yeah, that's
even
true.
then, when he got in for the preseason, he wasn't really doing that well. I mean, he got shook here and there. He didn't really do anything to, I think really solidify that he's the instant guy as soon as one of those safeties were out. I don't think.
Well, we didn't even see any safety play in the preseason.
Why did we think Johnson was going to be that? Who did?
Because
think
he
that?
came.
And
because he came from Seattle.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but he was a backup in Seattle, and he's on a 1-year contract. He's a stopgap. He's another stopgap.
Well, right. We all believed, because he was behind Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas, that he's, just this guy that's ready for his chance. That's been sitting behind these 2 great safeties, and never really got his chance. I think that's what we all were excited about, at least.
And then reality hit us in the face.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That Nacho is actually our better option at strong
we mention-
safety if he can stay healthy.
Yeah. This is random, but did anybody mention Preston Smith? He had a few plays where he flashed in there.
We
Looked good.
did
He had
briefly mention it.
His
that he got
sack,
that sack fumble or
and
whatever
that
you want.
crazy fumble recovery thing.
Yeah, that's going to be a highlight. No matter, even though the Redskins lost, that's got to already be on the early year highlight.
You're going to hear
reel.
Chris Berman going, whoop 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 whoop.
That's on the not top 10.
Yeah, yeah.
But see,
okay, any defensive wise, what else? Did anybody see? Go ahead.
Trent Murphy was the invisible man. Him and Kerrigan both
was.
were kind of invisible. And there was the time where they ran that little outside, like a jet sweep, right to Trent Murphy, and he was like a statue stuck in mud, trying to
Tell us what a jet sweep is, Robbie.
Jet sweep is when the slot receiver or even one of the wideouts comes in a jet motion, motions across right in front of the quarterback, quarterback snaps it, hands it off to the receiver, and he runs like a sweep play.
Yeah.
It's just a different way of running a
sweep. It's a shallow end around, right, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah, basically.
Yeah. The one thing I noticed the most about the defense, we were playing a lot of 2-4 fronts, just 2 down linemen and 4 linebackers. So it basically looked like a nickel 4-3 look kind of thing.
Isn't that the TCU defense?
Yeah, I guess so.
I guess the bottom line on the defense, I didn't think Ryan Tannehill looked particularly great either. But
No,
when a defense holds an opposing offense to 10 points, that should be a victory.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. The defense did what they needed to do. The defense held their end of the bargain up. I guess that's the best way to say it. Tannehill, again, I don't think he looked particularly good. Lamar Miller, who was the 1,000-yard rusher from last year, stud. He only averaged 4.1 yards per carry. He was over 5 last year, for the season. And that 4.1 was, with a couple breakaway plays. Playing and play out, he didn't look that good. So I think the defense overall, we can nitpick. We have the David Emersons here and there.
Yeah.
Trent Keenan Robinson maybe can't catch, but overall they did pretty well.
We need to still find our safeties of the future.
Yeah. Of course, we do that. We told you guys. We told the audience that when we did our safety position group breakdown months ago. We knew that. So.
Well, it wasn't a terrible game. There weren't really any cataclysmic plays. Those came on special teams, which we can mention, except there's really not that much to mention about it. It was the same Redskins special teams. Obviously, it's been marred by injuries, but it doesn't excuse that pretty terrible return, which was really the killing blow for the game.
Right.
As some people were saying, I guess that's partially on Tressway, kind of kicked it right to the receiver. I don't know. It was a terrible play. It was just
that
bad.
wasn't on Tressway.
Yeah,
that punt had enough hang time.
Someone should have been there.
The blocker should have got them.
Yeah, I mean, it was clearly something broke down. So, I mean, I don't...
That's kind of the story of the game. I'm sorry, Sean, but I mean, it's so frustrating because that's the story of our life. Every single Redskin game for years, there is some breakdown of special teams. I don't know what.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who's out there. It doesn't matter who the coach is.
You're
it
right.
doesn't matter anything. At some point, our coverage on our special teams is going to break down.
Yeah, it's Kotwicka's third year,
is.
and it's the same story. He was supposed to change all this.
Well, it's his second year.
Oh, I thought it was okay. My bad. Well, either way, it looks the same as it ever was.
It's the third or fourth year since our special teams has fallen apart, and we are still trying to put it together.
Yeah.
It's great that we've got a kicker. It's great that we've got a punter, but that's not all special teams is. You need the good gunners. You need guys who can block. The bottom half of your roster has to be dedicated to playing special teams, and right now we don't have that.
Just for the record, the stats for the return game: Jarvis Landry, 2 returns, 37 yards average, the 1 touchdown, of course. Mike James on the kickoff return from Miami, 2 kickoffs, 27-yard average. In contrast, our punt return, Jameson Crowder, 11.5 yards average.
Mm-hmm.
And then Chris Thompson, of course, did have 1 good kickoff return.
Yeah.
In there, so that was good. So good on him for that. But people are going to criticize Kai Forbath, I noticed.
Yep.
The man missed 1 kick. Everybody who criticized him needs to go back and find whatever episode we did our kicking position group breakdown.
Yeah.
They need to go back and listen to that because kickers are going to miss kicks. It happens every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
People don't understand that statistically, Kai Forbath is one of the very best kickers we have ever had on this team.
Yeah.
In my lifetime.
I didn't hear anybody being
understand
too
that.
overly critical of him. I mean,
there was some Twitter garbage going back and forth about him.
The craziest thing is I got in a little debate on the Insider with the guy about it, and after I was like, no, look, he makes that kick 88% of the time, and I posted the stat of his kick accuracy from that range, and then it's, oh no, that doesn't count because that's 40 to 49 yards, and this was at 45, and they don't make an exact yardage stat for kicks, It's within 10 yards.
yeah, what's the argument even there? I don't
Yeah.
I don't get it.
It's, the stats prove me I'm an idiot, so I'm still going to argue my point with this guy,
See, that's why we do the hog style. We need to educate people like that.
Yeah. And different cat, you know who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I guess any concluding thoughts otherwise on the game? I mean, anything you want to wrap up? I mean, I think we covered most of everything. It really, I guess I'll go. it seemed like offense-wise it was kind of the same as it ever was. Kirk showed some promise. He had some bad plays. It wasn't enough. Defense did the job. I mean, it would have been nice to see a little bit more, but you can't really fault them too much. And special teams was, doesn't even bear mentioning. So I don't know. This is pretty much, I feel like, what we stood to expect. The reasonable people, not me, who suggested we would go 9-7 this year, but the reasonable people, I think this is what they were expecting, and it backed that up.
Yeah, my concluding thought. Nothing I saw today in the play calling, first of all, made me think that Jay Gruden still doesn't suck, because he still does. Kirk Cousins was exactly what we've seen of Kirk Cousins, the entire time. He's okay.
Yep.
He's never going to be great. The defense, like we talked about, I was so impressed with the defensive front three. After watching the 3 preseason games with them, I was getting worried. They totally proved me wrong. I'm really glad about that. And Alfred Morris, what a stud. That guy looked. That was his best game. That might have been his best game since 2013, as a matter of fact.
Yep.
It might be.
Yeah, those are my takeaways.
He's saving my fantasy team today.
My fantasy team's getting crushed right now. I even turned it off. I was so depressed. So here let me give 2 major concluding thoughts. One, as bad as this team looked today, I do think McClune has us going in the right direction in the way he's building this team. I think if you have a good defense and a good offensive line, you will start winning a lot of games. We just got to work out those mistakes, and frankly, we got to find ourselves a new quarterback next year. We're stuck with Kirk and this group of misfit toys for this season, but long term, the answer is not on this team yet, not at the quarterback position.
Cardell Jones, 2016, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I'm not a Cardell Jones fan. No.
All right.
Okay, yeah, I got names for you guys. Quarterback that I really like in this draft coming up is Jared Goff. He's the quarterback from Cal University. Very technical. He's got very quick feet and has a really pretty ball. And then for safety, there's Jalen Ramsey from Florida State. He's a very smart, gifted athlete, and he's a very physical and passionate player. He's played a little bit of both corner and safety, so he's very versatile, so that's a good thing. 2 guys to keep an eye on in that regard. But my final thoughts is this game, we all kind of went into it not expecting much, and of course they kind of got our hopes up a little bit just to squash it. It was disappointing in that regard, but I do think there's a lot of potential with this team. If we can clean up the penalties and the missed opportunities, I think we actually might be able to do something this year. Because penalties, like I was saying, is really, in my opinion, the reason why we kind of lost this game. Not just the special teams play, but penalties. Cleaning up the penalties, the offense will move the ball better and not get called back almost every time. So I think there's potential. Will we see that potential, come through? Who knows? But the groundwork is there for a decent season.
Yeah.
I've always blamed the penalties on a coach. I think it's a mark of an undisciplined, poorly coached team.
Yeah.
I mean,
a lot of people would agree with you.
It's a chicken and egg argument to a certain extent because the players are the ones making the violations. But when you see a team that consistently has a lot of penalties and makes a lot of dumb mistakes, like we saw, to me that's on the coach.
Yeah. I'm not going to defend Jay Gruden on that one. I agree. He needed to either take a timeout or something to get the team, get their heads back in the game. Hit them with the whip. I don't know.
Hit him with the whip.
Yeah.
That may not be in accordance with the CBA's approved practices. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, the CBAs are wusses.
Yeah.
According to
Didn't learn
Tom
anything
Brady,
from the
it is.
Patriots. Just
Yeah.
cheat all the way, and if you don't get caught, you're fine.
That's pretty much the conclusion of the Deflategate issues. Cheat and you get away with it at some point.
Yep.
All right.
Well, that's good. I guess we can wrap up the Dolphins game there. Don't forget to check back in with us later this week because we got the Rams game coming up this Sunday at 1 o'clock, so be sure to check in for that, and we will see you then. Muppet Asshole.